What is up, Earthnoids, Spacenoids, and everything in between? I am just a simple new type, and in this video, we are finally wrapping up the final episodes of 8th MS Team series. In between this video and our last video is when the 8th MS Team special, Miller's Report, takes place. This focuses on Shiro Omada's court-martial, but most of it plays like a clip show, catching us up on the first half of the series. We will do a follow-up later focusing on Alice Miller's investigation. But for now, let's return to the adventures with the 8th. Let's find out if their relationship with the guerrillas will survive this war. EFF, along with Commander Kojima, run a simulation. It shows the Asperis destroying Jaburo. They are concerned of this mobile armor's power. They are also concerned of Shiro Omada's allegiance to EFF. The battalion gets Sanders to spy on Shiro's command. He doesn't like this. Elidor is back on the front lines with the 8th. They are planning a drop mission. Before we get into the mission, one thing to note is that the Asperis that self-destructed was technically the Asperis 2. The Asperis 1 was the first mobile armor during the 8th's first encounter. After the confrontation, Aina gets upgrades in the same city that Mikkel and Elidor are being tortured. After these upgrades, the mobile armor was considered the Asperis 2. And remember, Shiro's Gundam was attached to the Asperis 2 when it self-destructed. His Gundam is more or less destroyed. The RX-79 was made using surplus RX-78 parts. Because of this, there wasn't a lot of resources to throw around for the Kojima Battalion and the 8th. Now this is where the 8th MS team really outshines other parts of the UC timeline. We truly see the ingenuity, simple grunt soldiers trying to make it through this war. I'm talking about the EZ-8. The RX-79G EZ-8 Gundam EZ-8 is a product of working with what you got. It stands for Extra 08. Get it? The chest armor is a modified Zaku 2 shoulder shield, which makes it more resistant to head-on Zaku attacks. The Vulcan guns on the chest no longer exist. The signature V-fin is removed and replaced with an antenna. The armor is reinforced to make it durable, but it lacks of Luna titanium, which makes it lighter, allowing it to be more mobile. But I thought Luna titanium is light and durable. Never mind, let's not question it. Regardless, this unit is more agile and has better communication than the stock RX-79. Karen is the first one out on the drop mission, but once she drops, a Gao appears right below them. They attack Karen's Gundam. Shiro in the EZ-8 drops onto the Gao and tells it to cease fire or be destroyed. The Gao's engine suddenly goes out. In the distance, Admiral Yuri is looking out for the Gao and spots it on fire. Karen and the hover truck make their landing. Suddenly, an AT guy comes from the water and knocks the head off of Karen's Gundam. Elidor goes after Karen. Mikkel distracts the AT guy with the hover truck, while Elidor goes to save Karen. The Gundam doesn't have any visuals anymore. Elidor acts as Karen's eyes. He helps to shoot down the AT guy. Aina finds out that not only is Genius not stopping the Asperis program, but he is also supplying soldiers with some mysterious upper-type drug to keep soldiers working through the hours. The 8th powers through the jungle. During this time, Sanders told Shiro that Captain Ryer is asking Sanders to watch over Shiro. They don't seem to still trust him. While talking, they are met with the Magella Attack Force. They engage and battle. The Magella Attack Force makes their way back to Admiral Yuri. When heading back to base, they are locked out. Genius has taken control of operations. He blows up the tunnel towards the base, killing the Magella Attack Force and Admiral Yuri. Genius does this because Giran Zabi is currently unaware of the current state of the Asperis program, so he takes matters into his own hands. The Fetties start their assault on the Zeon Mountain base. Core boosters bomb the area, but are ineffective at getting through to the base. The Fetties want to accidentally set off one of the mobile suit's fusion reactors so they can wipe their hands blame from breaking the Antarctic Treaty. If a mobile suit's nuclear reactor goes off in battle, it would be hard to find intent, and most would assume it simply went off in battle. But that does lead to another question about Universal Century. If giant walking nuclear bombs are flying around punching each other, shouldn't nukes be going off accidentally and randomly anyways? 3,000 Zaku 2s were produced during the 1-year war. Are you telling me there wasn't one nuclear accident during all of this? And that isn't including any other mobile suits or mobile armors. Anyways, I digress. The 8th is also on the battlefield along with the RX-75 gun tank mass production type. The difference between the gun tank from OG Gundam and the mass-produced version is a lack of core block system and improvements on its range. They take out a Zaku and a Dom. Aina helps Zeon forces evacuate. Colonel Norris Picard helped raise Aina and Genyus, and Aina thinks of him as a father in many ways. Picard decides to go out in his Golf to help protect Aina. Meanwhile, Genyus poisons everyone in typical Colt fashion. Picard goes out in the Goof and attacks Shido. Shido mentions Aina's name. Picard realizes that this is the man that Aina is in love with. Shido rips off his own arm and uses it as a melee weapon. He destroys Picard's Goof, but it was able to take out all of the gun tanks. Elidor notices a familiar sound in the hover truck. It is the Asperis. Both Aina and Genyus are in the Zeon mobile armor. They begin their attack. Shido, in the moment, decides to leave the service. Karen was given orders to execute Shido if he decides to abandon his role, so she decides to shoot him as he walks away. Karen projects her insecurities about men, but she can't shoot Shido. She simply shoots around him as Shido walks away. Meanwhile, Aina asks the Fetty soldiers for a truce. She actually didn't attack, but created a line in which Fetties must not pass until their forces have evacuated the mountain base. She asks for a ceasefire. The Fetties agree, but launch 2 GM snipers anyways. This is the same guy who wants to accidentally crack a fusion reactor. At the base, Kojima has had enough of Captain Ryer's shit and leaves, saying he is not different than Zeon. He goes to capture Shido himself. Meanwhile, Genyus takes control of the Asperis and begins attacking Earth forces. The GM sniper takes out a retreating Zanzibar ship. Aina is furious. She uses her main weapons to attack, but she doesn't hit EFF headquarters. Shido approaches her in the EZ-8. Aina tries to preach the ideas of peace to Genyus, but he isn't having it. He shoots Aina. She falls out of the mobile armor. The EZ-8 catches her. She isn't dead, however. She was saved by the watch she gave Shido. We haven't really talked about the watch, but Aina gave Shido her watch when they first met in episode 1. After they met again, after the destruction of the Asperis 2, Shido gave the watch back. This watch saved Aina's life. They get out of the way of the Asperis. Both Aina and Shido get in the EZ-8. They have no choice but to kill Genyus and the Asperis. The EZ-8 attacks the Asperis right as it attacks the base. It seems like the EZ-8 is destroyed as well as EFF base. In space, a Musai-class ship launches a Komsai with children on board. The Musai ship goes down. UC-0080. Back in Southeast Asia, the war is over. All that remains are fragments of chaos. The 8th was disbanded and Mikhail was discharged. However, he still wants to finish his mission and find Shido. He looks at a picture of his old girlfriend, Bibi. Kiki is also with him. She destroys the picture of Bibi. While floating down the river, they stumble on the Komsai. They decide to crash there for the night. When they wake up, they're tied up by Zeon children. The kids take them to their commander. The kids all seem somewhat off. This is probably because these children are all new types. We can deduce this from earlier in the episode when Kiki found a paper written by Dr. Flanagan. Remember, Dr. Flanagan is the founder of the Flanagan Institute, which is a place for new types to cultivate their new type potential. The kids bury someone. Kiki and Mikkel ask who it is. The kids mention that it is a person named Aina. Mikkel freaks out and demands to know where Shido is. The kids tell them that he is dead, but something seems up. The kids eventually tell them that they ran into Shido and Aina, and they eventually faked their deaths in order to start anew, and gave these kids their names. The kids tell them that they headed north. These kids never had names. They were just referred to as the kids, kind of like how I'm doing right now. So their names kind of mean a lot to them at this point. The next day, the kids are gone. Mikkel and Kiki begin their search again. Eventually, they find a cabin, and with it, they find Aina and Shido. Aina seems to be pregnant. Shido and Aina are alive, and were able to escape the war and allow their love to thrive. And that will do it for this episode of Mobile Suit Gundam 8th MS Team. This is one of my favorite Mobile Suit series. I genuinely appreciate not following space wizards, simply following the grunts of the war. It is rare that two people make it out of the war, let alone find happiness afterwards. So soak this in, people. There aren't going to be too many of these happy endings, unfortunately. I eventually would like to cover Thunderbolt, but for now, we are going to move forward in time to the year UC 0080. But that will do it for this video, new types. Remember, it is possible to escape the war to find happiness. Very unlikely, but possible. Peace.